This episode of the Golf Unfiltered podcast is brought to you by WorldwideGolfShops.com. Be sure to go out to WorldwideGolfShops.com for all of your equipment, apparel, and accessory needs. They've even got training aids. They've got all the great stuff from all the brands that you hear on our podcast every week. So once again, that is WorldwideGolfShops.com.
You're listening to the Golf Unfiltered podcast, your source for in-depth interviews with the biggest names, brands, and personalities in golf. Our mission? To keep you informed and help you enjoy the game even more. And now, the owner and host of the Golf Unfiltered podcast, Adam Fonseca.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Golf Unfiltered podcast. As always, you can find us all over social media at Golf Unfiltered. You can go ahead and hit us up on email, adam@golfunfiltered.com. Hello to our friends over at thehackersparadise.com, and I just wanted to remind everyone that we are part of their podcast network, along with two other fantastic shows, Off Course and Range Days. And of course, hello to our friends over at Cleveland, Srixon, and Zegzio. Been playing their clubs for the last couple of years. You guys know that. They got something special coming out very soon, and I can't go into too much detail, but just keep your eyes peeled to golfunfiltered.com to learn more very, very soon. All right, folks, today on the show, we welcome on Mr. John Pruellage. He is the president of FlingGolf. If you've not heard of FlingGolf before, then that's okay, because I hadn't either. Prior to this year, I actually had the chance to get a demonstration of FlingGolf and the Fling stick, which you'll understand what all these terms are here in a second, down in Orlando at the PGA Merchandise Show. So this is a podcast episode that's been many months in the making, and had a really good conversation with John today to learn a little bit about what FlingGolf is all about, who they hope to attract to the game, and really, it's not just beginners. I have to stress that. I know we talk a lot about that today in the conversation, but it's a really fun way to play a game that we all love in just a little bit of a different way. So we'll be right back after a quick word from one of our sponsors with Mr. John Pruellage, president of FlingGolf. Today's episode is also brought to you by the Ben Hogan Golf Equipment Company. No big hype, no big price, but definitely a big deal. Take advantage of their factory direct model where you cut out the middleman and get the best products shipped to your door direct from the company. They've got a demo program to try out their products before you buy, a trade-up program to get these clubs in your hands even quicker, and special financing where you can split your payment into 4 to make these clubs even more affordable. Go to benhogangolf.com to learn more. That's right, folks. Welcome back to the show. Really excited to welcome on Mr. John Pruellage. He is the president of FlingGolf. John, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Adam, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And, you know, it's funny. I had the chance to try out. We're going to talk a lot about FlingGolf. I had the chance to try out the products that you guys offer. We're going to get into all of that. But for those who might not be familiar with what FlingGolf is, what would be maybe your elevator speech as to what FlingGolf entails?
So FlingGolf is the easiest way to think about it is an athletic alternative to golf. That's you play it on a golf course, any golf course, without any modifications, and you're using a regular golf ball. So our product, the Fling stick, it's a different motion. You're not making contact with a golf ball like you would in traditional golf, but rather you're putting it in the Fling stick and the head of the Fling stick, and you're throwing the golf ball. So it's a very natural, intuitive motion for people. And the stick is designed so that you can take every shot with it. So you really just need one Fling stick to play the entire course. And it's even got pads on the side of it so that you can use it for on the green putting. Or similar types of shots. But the idea is really it's a couple ways to think about it. One is it's a casual alternative to golf. So it's very easy for people that have never been on a golf course or have tried briefly to play golf and didn't stick with them, don't have a set of clubs, because it's very easy to basically get one Fling stick, you're out on the course and you're playing.
One of the things I like the most about it is the Fling stick is really easy to pick up, both literally and figuratively. And it's really just a matter of, like you said, it kind of cradles a golf ball, similar in concept, I would say, to maybe lacrosse. And you literally, as the name implies, just kind of fling it down a golf hole. I'd imagine that this is really good for beginners just getting into the game.
Yes, exactly. And I think a good way to think about it is lacrosse golf in terms of the conception of the actual product, since we're on a podcast and there's not a visual here, is it's got this head that's really almost a combination between sort of lacrosse and highlight, which a lot of people might not be familiar with it, but it's the actual shape of the head is almost a little bit like a small highlight basket. Really cradles the golf ball. And then the motion you're using is, you can use all different types of motions. A lot of people like the sort of over the top lacrosse type of motion. Some people use more of a sidearm. I think in my mind, the most effective is really somewhere between the two. So you're getting a little bit of left to right action on it. And you tend to get a little more distance that way. But really it's one of the great things about the product is, and the way the sort of rules of FlingGolf work is that anything you can do with the stick to get the ball, towards the hole or in the hole is fair game.
My first experience with FlingGolf and the fling stick was at the PGA Merchandise Show. And I had the chance. It was funny because a lot of people were around flinging these things into the nets. And I'm like,
at the demo day?
Right. The demo day. Yeah. And I got to check this out. And, I believe I met Alex at that point, and
Yep.
He offered a lot of suggestions, and it was really easy to use. And what I really loved about it, and this was prior to me actually trying it on the course, what I really liked about it, like you mentioned, was the putting aspect of it. Literally it's like the Swiss Army knife of golf clubs. Everything you need is right there.
Right, exactly. And that's one of the coolest things about it is that just as the game has sort of grown and evolved, it's also seeing the techniques that people come up with, especially involving the short game. I mean, I think the, off the tee from the fairway, relatively, there's different, elevations and launch points and release points. But where it's really been interesting to get feedback from the people that are out there playing it is people come out with different techniques. And a lot of it involves the short game. And we've probably heard at least 8 or 9 different types of ways that people putt. Some of which I couldn't even believe because there's someone out there that they actually use not the face of it to putt, but actually the sort of front side, almost the beginning of the cradle, not the back end. And I've tried it a couple times, and I don't even understand how this person gets it to work. But he said it's the most effective way for him to putt, and he's really, really accurate at 6 feet in. So that's really one of the cool things. It's just people coming up with different ways to manipulate the ball with the club because it's got a lot of different facets to it. You can come up with some unique stuff.
One of the things that when I actually had the chance to try it on an actual golf hole, couple things I noticed. And just so listeners understand, you can go to FlingGolf.com and learn a little bit more about what we're talking about with the fling stick. And there's a lot of great content on the website. Listeners should know that depending on how, I guess, your technique or strength or whatever, just like regular golf, this ball might go a little bit shorter than maybe you're accustomed to. At least it was for me. Is that pretty common?
Yeah, definitely. When you're coming from a golfer's point of view, certainly that you're going to lose generally a little distance. So max distance really, and we're talking about people that have sort of set these records, so to speak, are professional lacrosse players generally, and they're maxing out at sort of 260 yards. Definitely shorter than what a really good drive would be for an experienced golfer. And for your average person, they're probably more in the 150 to 175. I think the more custom you get to it, then you can start pushing 180, 200. But the great thing about it is that your second shot from the fairway is usually going to be just as long. There's no reason it wouldn't be just as long. So you may give a little off the tee, certainly. And a lot of people we recommend to play forward tees.
Mm-hmm.
Your perfect tee is really in a sort of 5,000 to 6,000 yard range. Anything more than that, you're going to have trouble, especially if there's like a really long carry of water off the tee. That might be a bit of a challenge. So definitely someone that's used to driving the ball with some accuracy, 250 yards. It's going to be tough to replicate that.
Yeah, and the other side of it too was you speak about approach shots. Obviously you're not compressing the golf ball in any way, so the spin
Right.
factor is something you have to account for too. I found that it was best to kind of, I guess, aim short and let it roll up a little bit, and
Right.
that's something that just takes some getting used to a little bit.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting things about FlingGolf is that because sometimes you'll hear from people and they'll say either like, "Well, you've dumbed down golf in a sense," or "Well, you've just made it now. You've made it too easy," and it's really not the case at all. It's just it's different, and you lose some yardage off the tee, but you gain a lot of accuracy. But then in terms of the approach shots, it's a lot of it becomes feel because you're not doing this thing where you're sort of robotic about, okay, I hit my 9-iron this long, I hit my 8-iron this long, my 7, and with a lot of consistency. It's now, okay, I've got to put 3/4 strength into this or half strength or
Right.
totally different technique. And just like golf, it's if you really want to score, it's all about the short game.
Yeah.
It's all about how many strokes can you shave off that short game, because if you're consistently getting in the fairway and getting close to the green in regulation, the only way you're going to improve your score is short game. And that's definitely true of FlingGolf.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you put it nicely. It is different. It's just learning a different way to play the same game. And I think that really speaks to the benefit of someone maybe just learning the game, for example, who need to understand things like etiquette, pace of play, just getting familiar with the golf course in general. This is a great entry point for someone to kind of just go and get used to all those things.
That's a really great point, Adam, because we're really trying to make a push now with golf courses and sort of tough in this environment, but youth golf camps and youth golf organizations and first tee, because it's really about how do you get more people to the golf course, whether they become lifelong fling golfers or lifelong golfers. It's all win-win. It's all just about getting more people to the golf course. And I think certainly at a young level for kids, that sometimes the difficulties with golf turns them off right off the bat. And for me, I grew up playing some golf, and one of my favorite parts about the game was actually the short game. And I feel like with a lot of people with golf, if they can't get off the tee and if they're always in the woods and they're really struggling, by the time they get to the short game, they've probably given up on the hole.
Yeah.
And certainly if they're playing with more experienced golfers. So one of the great things about FlingGolf is that it actually, for your average person, once you get your release point down, the game is sort of right in front of you, in the sense that you're probably going to get it in the fairway. Maybe, not as long as you might with a driver, but it's going to be a lot more accurate. And then you're going to get very quickly to the nuances of the game. Like you said, for young people, you're going to have, it's going to be easier to learn etiquette. And that's definitely something we've seen, because we'll do a lot of events where FlingGolf is really perfect for youth sports teams or other events like that. We're just trying to get a bunch of people. And we've seen it time and time again where a bunch of kids come out there and maybe half of them have never even been on a golf course, but maybe they're part of a baseball team or a lacrosse team. And because they can really get the fundamentals down very quickly, especially like lacrosse players, like they usually right off the bat, like their first or second fling, they're not flinging it in the ground. They're really getting the release point. And they'll be out there and they'll be doing well right off the bat. But the interesting thing is that sometimes you send a bunch of these kids off and they don't know the first thing about etiquette. Yeah. So then they're all sort of firing at the same time. So it is a great opportunity. Like you're catching their interest right off the bat, but then it gives you this sort of teaching moment for how etiquette, especially around the green, and you gotta actually treat the putting surface like like a sacred object. A lot of work has gone into getting that putting surface as pristine as possible, and so you got to respect that. And your average person, if they've never been on a golf course, is not going to understand that. So FlingGolf's a great way to get them out there and in a casual way where they're not so much worried about their technique or their fundamentals, and they can learn more about the sort of holistic game.
You're right. And I know we're talking a lot about, juniors, beginners, but I mean, I could picture a foursome of very talented regular golfers like I could picture my friends and I going out and have 4 of these things, and we could have some pretty competitive rounds. I mean,
Oh yeah.
this is no joke, folks. I mean, you can get up there, and it's just like the game that you've grown accustomed to. I mean, I've been playing golf for 25 years now, and I mean, this kind of opened my eyes to a different way to play the same game that I love.
Right, exactly. Because you're like you said, like when you get into the short game and your approach, okay, you're not putting a bunch of spin on the ball, but so you're actually having to land it short and let the momentum carry it forward. And so for every one of the things you can't do because you're not using a golf club, there's 3 other potential things you can do. And for everything that is made easy in the sense that hey, if you're behind a tree, well, fling golf is actually not very easy.
Right.
But there's a few other things you got to deal with. And the way we play the rules, you're taking a penalty in a sand trap because you have to treat a sand trap like a water hazard. Otherwise, it would be no difficulty at all. So it's like you said, we've talked about a lot for beginners, but we've sort of tell golfers, look, we're not a lifelong golfer who really enjoys it. We're not trying to convert you into a fling golfer because fling golf is somehow better or anything like that.
Sure.
Not that at all. But for anyone that's a golfer that enjoys being out on a golf course, like why wouldn't you try something different? And I think for someone that really is not even coming from this from a golf perspective, what we always tell people when we're trying to explain what the sport is it's like the snowboarding of golf. It's just a different way to get around a golf course, whereas like snowboarding is. It's not like snowboarding's evolved to the point where it's not like, snowboarder is saying like, I would never ski. And you get a lot of people that will do both of them because it's just different. You're using the same piece of real estate, but you're just using it in a slightly different way. But the objective is the same, just like getting down the mountain's the same. It's, trying to get the ball in the hole in as few strokes as possible.
So how have golf courses responded to fling golf? I'd imagine that, again, using the same hypothetical foursome, walking up to the first tee, carrying a fling stick probably looks a little bit odd for the course that might not be aware of what it is.
Yeah, I mean, golf courses have actually been very receptive and on a number of different levels. I mean, there's sort of the first, which we'll do a lot of the time. I mean, love doing this in especially when we're traveling is going to a golf course and booking a tee time or just showing up and not really, and it's more about not even, saying, hey, we know you don't have fling sticks, but can we play fling golf there? It's more like booking a tee time, showing up, seeing the starter. The starter might be like, what are those? And maybe they've heard about it before. Most likely they have not. And then you sort of explain the concept to them and they see, what you're doing, that you're not going to be, it's not a danger to anyone in the course. And they basically, 9 out of 10, if not more often than that, they'll basically say, enjoy your round.
Yeah.
That's great to see. And then you get the same reaction then when you're out on the course from other golfers, which is, you get a bunch of people looking at you and usually like they won't notice for the first hole or two. And then because they just think they caught, out of the corner of their eye, they saw something that just looked a little different. And then they'll see you and then they'll watch you for a couple holes. And then by about the 4th or 5th hole or the next time you sort of meet up at the in a logical place, they'll always ask about it.
Yeah.
Is that, can I try it out? So yeah, but from a golf course perspective, they've certainly, most are very positive about it. And, certainly from a business, because we sell a lot of fling sticks to golf courses that want to, rent them out. There have been a lot that have been very enthusiastic about it. I think, some of them are challenged a little bit about it because from a golf course perspective, a lot of them, and I don't mean this as a complete slight to them, but they're not necessarily great at marketing the game itself.
Right.
Because golf is such an established sport that most of their customers are coming because they play golf. And there's a golf course and you're sort of marketing your golf course is great because of these amenities or because of, this design and this skill level needed, et cetera. It's all about the golf course. It's not about the actual sport itself because people know what golf is. So I think, for a lot of golf courses that buy them, they sort of buy them, and then because the sport is so young, it's a golf course to really make it work. Golf course has to market a little bit. We've heard, and this isn't all golf courses by any stretch. We have a lot of golf courses that are certainly making it work, but you'll have some golf courses that are like, yeah, we bought some fling sticks and we sort of keep them in the back, and we don't get a lot of players. Well, it's like, yeah, because like the people that frequent your golf course, they probably never heard of it. We're a small company growing, and only there's only so much we've done to build the awareness. So it's not a magic wand in a sense, or at least we're not there yet anyway. But I think those golf courses that really embrace it the most are the ones that they've got someone at the course that likes playing, likes going out in the driving range. Might be a diehard golfer, but likes going on the driving range and fooling around with the fling stick. Yeah, the driving range, and then they ask about it, and then they say like, oh, not sure I'd do that, but I got a friend that really isn't a good golfer, and in fact, I'd have him out more, but he's hacking around and he's slowing us all down. Like these, he could probably really speed things up, and he could play at the same pace. Or you get a lot of families where it the mom or the dad, they might play golf, and their kids just never really got into it. Or their kids are young and they want to get them out there, and this is a way that their kid can actually sort of keep up with them and play and not have that frustration factor that a lot of kids have with it off the bat.
Yeah, I had a similar experience taking the fling stick out to the course I was playing, and now this is a course that it's Cog Hill, in Illinois, and they're a pretty progressive golf course because they also have other products that are non-traditional, so to speak. Like they've got those golf surfboards, for example. Right. And they've got other things like that. So I feel like they're a little bit more open to the concept. And yeah, there was a little bit of me explaining what it was, because I was there with my regular golf clubs and I just played 2 balls for a few holes just to kind of compare the two. And they thought it was really cool, and so, we were talking a little bit more about it after the round. But it's encouraging to hear that those are experiences that you're hearing about too, because I think we both agree that golf hasn't always been open to change. And no. This is certainly a adjustment or a change, a step away from the traditional.
Yeah, and I think that it's more open to change now than I feel that it's ever been. And really just even the last 10 years, it's really been, the number of things that have been tried and, the number of courses that, started to embrace foot golf or disc golf. And the thing about foot golf is that you don't modify your course in any way.
Right.
It's ball. And, in fact, from the superintendent's point of view, it's actually fantastic because there's no divots in the tee box or on the fairway.
Right.
So, it's really just no harm to the golf course. And, but I think those courses that have been the most successful with it, have really embraced it are, like you said, it's the ones that are trying the golf boards, the ones that maybe they've tried, foot golf or put the disc golf cages up, or they're just, they're doing a lot of events potentially for members of the community where you play a multi-sports kind of things, or they're always trying to come up with things for events where play this hole with one club, or play what's the gun that fires the golf ball.
Oh, right. Yeah,
a lot of things that and those are more sort of events, but I think it's that it's a mentality that, hey, we're trying to have people enjoy themselves and have fun, as we're selling entertainment, as opposed to we're selling the traditional game of golf. And if anything veers off the traditional game of golf, then the founders of golf are going to roll over in their graves. That's that mentality. I think is definitely changing with a lot of people. And you look at it, it's things that have been tried, like the larger holes and all sorts of things that are really changing the fundamental game. I think in some sense those are positive signs, just because the golf industry in general sees that, yes, they're always going to be the diehard purists, but there's just different ways to enjoy a golf course. And some people want to go really old school with the hickory sticks, which I also think is great because it's just a different way to enjoy a golf course.
Yeah, and one of the things that we talk a lot about on this show is just go out and have fun, and you put it nicely. I mean, you're selling entertainment. The entire thing is entertainment. I think golf sometimes gets in its own way with the seriousness of it, and certainly, like you said, there are the purists, there are the traditionalists. That game's still there for them. For the people
Right.
that want to kind of come out and try something new and still have a different type of fun, doing something that you're already familiar with. I mean, there's no downside to this. Just go out and try it, and you're going to enjoy something that's in a way that you didn't think you could.
Right. Exactly. And that's why we also tell, even, lifelong golfers, hey, just put one in your bag, because I guarantee you take that out and, your next, regular foursome, and you're going to have fun with it.
Yeah.
There's no, even if, someone uses it, is not good at it, that's going to be fun in its own right. Just being able to, poke fun at a friend.
Yeah.
But I think it's a different experience out there. And I think that's just what golf is really needed is not to, I think it has too much of that reputation of being, stuffy and you can only do it this way. And it's, rule book that's all about, lies and a bunch of things which, the reality is, for those people that don't play golf, is that, there's so many rules in the golf rule book that, 95% of people that are not, necessarily competing, competitively playing or professionally, that they're not really playing by those rules necessarily, or at least they're not enforcing those rules, I should say.
True. That's very true. I could definitely think
because it would not make, golf that enjoyable.
No.
If you were always doing that, now at a professional level, it's a different matter, because every single stroke matters. And, our long-term goal is to get FlingGolf in a similar place where it's it's played in an organized way in tournaments, et cetera. And I'm sure we'll layer on more rules than we have today. But right now it's all a matter of, look, go out and, enjoy the golf course.
Yeah, it's a great way to do it, folks. And once again, we're talking to Mr. John Pruellage. He is the president of FlingGolf. And John, I know we're up against the clock here, but just a couple things really quick. Once again, the website is flinggolf.com. You offer a lot of different types of fling sticks. You also offer customizations, if I'm correct.
That's true. So we have sort of three different main products. The first is what we call the Launch, which is entry-level product. It's got the lowest price point, and a lot of courses use those. If the course is going to buy them, they'll use them for rental sticks. It's a great way if you're not sure you're going to like the products. It's an easy way to get into the game. And those are really, they all basically they're one color for each size. So there's no customization at all. It's sort of a standardized product. Then the next one up is, and they're also made of a composite blend. The next one up is the Stinger, which it's 100% carbon fiber. So it's really lightweight. I mean, the entry level Launch is very lightweight too, but the Stinger is really lightweight. We've got a bunch of different patterns you can put on the head. You can do some customized grips as well. And then the other product is the Ballistic, which is this crazy extra long. It's our longest fling stick, measuring a total of 51 inches. And it's got this extra long grip, which is not even a golf grip. I mean, our standard size fling stick has a oversized on it. The Ballistic has this thing. It's basically just this grip that we designed, which is more akin to almost like a lacrosse stick kind of grip. This thing is just a beast, but for those that can control it, it has set all the distance records. And so those are our major products. But then at the higher end level, there's customization where you can put on different heads, and we're coming up with new patterns and new ways to customize every day.
I love the one of the selling points of the Ballistic is it's best for tall or potentially crazy players. I like that.
That's absolutely true, because I mean, one of the great things about FlingGolf just in general is that there's a different mentality in FlingGolf than there is in golf, because in golf you don't want to overswing. and it's not. It's more the consistency than it is the absolute strength that you put in it. Fling golf, not so much. Like the harder you can swing, the more, and it's really about the whip motion before your release point. So the more you can sort of have reckless abandon, the better results and the more yardage you're going to get. And when you've got this 51-inch ballistic, you can't help but want to just go absolutely bonkers with the thing.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. And listeners, I hope that sounds like a lot of fun to you all as well. Once again, the website is FlingGolf.com. You can find them all over social media as well. John, thanks so much for coming on today. I'm sure that we can hear it in your voice, just how passionate you are about this company, about the products, and I'm sure our listeners will appreciate that.
Adam, thanks for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure.